Hello and welcome to the No Sweeter Love, Sweetest Day panel. I'm your host, Shaughnessy Dunn.
And I'm her perfect husband, Justin Dunn. We are excited to be here. Before we get started, though, we want to make sure that we cannot thank enough our spiritual parents, our leaders, our cheat codes, what we call them, Apostle Clarence Langston and Pastor Robin Langston.
Thank you so much for a night of love, of fun, of laughter, and just joy, enjoying love and enjoying, what God has allowed all of us up here to come into. So we just thank you. If you are watching at home, you are in for a treat because tonight is going to just be fun. It's going to be fun-filled and exciting. So make sure that you share this with someone that you know this live. Add someone in the comments. Make sure that you guys are interactive. You know how we do at Word in Action. So make sure that you guys are staying tuned because we have some amazing things ahead for tonight.
Yes, I am so excited, babe. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to just go around, introduce ourselves again. I'm Justin. This is Shaughnessy. We've been married for 3 years now. And I would say if I had to answer what my favorite thing about my spouse is, she's so caring. She just cares about everybody, just selfless, right? So that's my favorite thing.
Wait, let me say my favorite thing.
Okay, go ahead, babe. I'm sorry.
It's a lot. My favorite thing is probably is your sense of humor, definitely. Okay. So, yeah, I'll throw that out there.
Okay.
That's up there. You're welcome. I love you.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's throw it over here to the forest. Introduce yourselves, who you all are.
Well, wait, before you do that, first we have 3 amazing couples up here. Great couples. And we want to first start off with some trivia. Okay. Some Sweetest Day trivia to get to know them better. Okay. And then we're going to go around and have you guys introduce yourself. So, Justin, do you have the first question for the night?
Yes, I have the first question for the night, babe. Okay? And it's right here. All right. Where was your first date? Okay.
All right, let me look around. We got a swing set. We got a blank. North.
Okay, we're gonna get you a marker.
Okay, we're going to read off your wives. We got Northwest Activity Center. Okay, athletic. Tim Hortons. Okay. So, the Fords, can you guys introduce yourself for everyone at home and kind of give us some background?
Absolutely. I'm Damon. This is Tiffany Ford. We've been married.
You got your microphone?
I need training for this. Damon and Tiffany Ford. Been married for 22 years. My favorite thing about you is your beauty, inside and out.
Well, thanks, love. I appreciate that. My favorite thing about Damon, one of my favorite things is his eyes, and also I don't ever have to guess at what he's thinking.
That's beautiful. And then can you explain this little swing set contraption you drew on there?
Yeah, that's a swing set. That's where we met at. We didn't meet there. We met at Michigan State, but like it was unofficial date, but we went outside at night to the swing sets outside our dorm.
Aww,
You said it was where again?
At Michigan State University.
Okay, go green,
gotcha.
go
Outside
green.
of Holden and Wilson Hall.
Self-complex. Got you.
That's beautiful.
Go green.
Okay. Baby, want to get into our next question?
Yeah, let's go to the second question. Who failed the hardest when you first met?
All right, couples ready? All right, let's reveal our answers. Let me see. Me, Devon for sure.
Devon for sure.
No one. She did. I definitely said me. What'd you say, babe?
Yeah,
her. Are you a little confident? Her, but me. Let me see, Tiff. He did. I love it. So to my left, we have the Wild Gooses. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Christopher Wild Goose. This is my wife, Michelle Wild Goose. Again, thank you again, Apostle and Prophetess Robin, for allowing us to be on here. We have been married now for, wow, it's been 8 years. 8 years. And my favorite thing about my spouse is that she is a straight shooter. She gonna call a spade, and I think it's perfect for me because I needed that to help bring me to even where I am today. So, perfect compliment to me.
I love his honesty. He doesn't play around. He says exactly what he wants, and whether it, some people are like, oh, that don't make you look hard enough. It's just, it is what it is.
I love that. Love it. Okay, next question.
Awesome. Okay, next question. You all ready? What word would your spouse use to describe your marriage? All right. Markers down. All right. All right, let's flip. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I love all of these.
Okay.
Oh,
Hey, that's a strong one.
we got redeemed, vows. Okay, y'all deep over there. I love it. We got fun, never a dull moment. I said
That's not a word, but okay.
he had to give up.
That's the one word.
Right. Yeah.
I love it though.
There it is.
Forever, eventful, chill, and fun. Okay,
Okay.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love this.
We have Devon and Leroy
Oh
introduce
yeah,
themselves.
yes, of course.
I am Devon Burnett, the husband of my lovely wife, Leroy Burnett. We will actually be celebrating our 12th year of marriage on Sunday.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yes. And my favorite thing about her is her pure-hearted sincerity.
I love that about you too. But if I had to pick one, I would say you are the most considerate person I have ever met. Ever met. So I love how considerate you are. Of not just me, of everybody around you. So I love it.
Beautiful. That is awesome. Okay, you ready, babe?
Yes.
Okay. How long had you all been dating
Before you became
before
engaged.
you became engaged? 3, 2, 1 year.
Approximately 3
3.
years.
We got 3 years. We got 5.
I got a lot
About. We got about approximation symbols.
Matter of fact, we said something about that earlier. About dating and like, did we really date? Like, you know what
Correct.
I mean?
Okay, expound on this a little bit.
So this here is kind of like that. Approximately is like, okay, I know I met her in '93. You know what I mean? And then, so yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of like what you said. It's complicated.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
complicated.
Okay.
But approximately.
Okay.
Approximately.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay, what else do we have up here? One year? Okay. 1 year, 5 years.
5 years.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the next question, you all. When did you realize they were the one?
Okay, you guys ready to reveal your answers? 1, 2, 3.
Month 2 of dating.
Okay. Month 2 in 9th grade.
Well, actually, no. We started dating the year after she graduated high school, but when she saw me in 9th grade, that was like 6 or 7 years prior. She didn't like me in high school because I was kind of the ladies' man back then, and everybody thought I was, the guy.
With those big ears.
Yeah, with the big ears and the big head. So she didn't like that. But when we actually started dating, I told her I loved her after the 2nd month, and I told her, I was like, you're going to be my wife. And she looked at me like I was crazy, but
I said, no, I'm not.
5 years
'cause
later.
You got 4 years.
Yeah.
It took me 4 years to say it.
Yep.
4 years?
Yep.
And 4 years, I think we had been through enough for me to say, oh, okay, you the one.
You want to see some struggle with your love.
Sorry,
I
Mom, I
love
like
it.
this.
I love it. Michelle, you said the second conversation and I was scared. Elaborate.
Because it's funny, like you used to being treated wrong and you think it's right, but then when it actually happens and he's listening and he's engaged, talking, and we're like talking about world things in life, and it was like, oh, I'm scared of, like, is this it? And it was just like, it made me scared. But second conversation.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Goose?
Mine says when we were kicking it like two old friends from the block. I remember it was just one day we were just kicking it, and it felt like I've been talking of my best friend for however many years. It felt like I've known her my whole life, and just like we were just chilling. We were just chilling and kicking it. And I'm like, if I can kick it with her like this, now, this is what I want. I want somebody that I can kick it with for the rest of my life.
Fords?
Just to kind of put it in perspective of my mindset of where I was thinking and all that, like that wasn't my thought at all, like ever in my, I'm different, I guess. And I wasn't ever thinking like, okay, what am I looking for in this? So when I first saw her, she was just the baddest thing. I was like, oh my God. I remember going back to my dorm room, walking in, and I remember my boys saying, what's wrong with you, dude? And I was like, I just saw this woman, and they was like, who? I said, I couldn't get out to meet her. I said, I saw her driving. And I was thinking, like, in my head, I was like, man, I'll make that girl my wife. And I didn't know nothing about her. Wow. I didn't know nothing about her. So it's kind of like a shallow type of,
Yeah.
in your mindset. I was young. I was about, 17, 18?
You were 19. I was
19,
17.
Yeah. I was a little kid, so I didn't.
Babies.
Yeah, I didn't ever have no
beautiful.
thought of, So right then, when I saw her, I was like, yep, there she goes. I was trying to get to her. Like, I got to find out who that is.
We love it.
True story.
Okay.
All right, you
Found
ready?
out, too.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
what'd you put?
I just put I got two answers. So one, I put effortless love, it kind of like what you were saying, Chris. It just felt like it was just cool. Everything was just, yeah, exactly. like I was like
I love
strangled
it.
the whole time. It was just effortless,
Okay.
And then the second one was like when I changed, like you made me change. I'll never forget when I was away, we were doing a long distance thing. I'm from Chicago. And I don't know, for some reason I just wanted to change and be better. And I will never forget, we've been dating for like 4 years at this point, and she brought me to Apostle and Pastor and asked, could we date? And I was just like,
I had
bruh.
only been at the church for like a month or two, and yeah, I did.
And I was just like, bro, and what if he say no? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've been in this for 4 years now, But at the end of the day, right. But at the end of the day, I found what she found, and I was just like, whoa, like, who are these people, So that was me.
I said, like Damon, I said first sight, and then I said church, because the first sight was that little lusty, like, dang. And then the second part was when, like, I brought it to God, brought it to my leaders, and realized, like, this is really something real. And you said, I made you change, but I just want to put this out here, that was all God, because God changed me, and then I set a standard, and then you came up, to that standard. So shout out to my leaders for teaching me
Big shout
standards.
out to our leaders.
But we're having fun. This is exciting. I'm having fun. I hope that you guys who are watching are having fun. We're just getting started with this fun. We're actually going to go into a brief break, and we're going to hear from the GOATs themselves, Apostle Clarence Langston and Pastor Robin Langston. And we're going to ask them some of these questions, but they're going to be specific and particular to them in their marriage. So stay tuned for that. We will be right back after this break.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm so excited that you're tuning in and that you're a part of tonight. Tonight is already started, and it is super duper excited. I'm just happy to be a part. God is so good. I'm Apostle Clarence Langston. This is my wife, Pastor Robin Langston, and we're excited because tonight we're dealing with couples. We're dealing with love and experience and just those wonderful things that cause marriage and cause relationships to grow and to become stronger. And, we live in a day and age where so many people are separating and getting divorces and jumping from one relationship to another. And we just want to talk about those fun things, those exciting things that keep marriage jumping, y'all. Keep it all fun, keep it exciting, even during your dating season. Because Pastor Rob and I, we got some stories we're going to talk about today. We got some we got some things that we're going to share. But man, I just wanted to just share a little love and say one of the things that I love about my wife is her sense of humor. She has such a sense of humor, and her smile when she laughs, it just really lights up the room. But for me personally, being her husband, it lights up my life. I met Pastor Robin, over 26 years ago. Where does the time go by? And we're coming up, man, on our anniversary, and I'm so excited about it. 19 years we have been in marriage. 26 years I've been chasing after you. 19 years we've been in marriage, and guess what, guys? I'm still chasing after her.
Oh, honey, funny. You know, I don't run too hard. I'm easily caught now. Not so much on the front end. But I'm excited too. And honey, I think the one thing that I love most about you is
everything.
Well, yeah. There's a couple of things. One, most importantly, is your loyalty. And the other thing is just the way you love me. It's just the way you love me.
All right, so let's get into the Sweetest Day game. The first question is, what is your better half's hidden talent?
Bam! Me, baby. Bam, bam, bam.
Need a do-over.
Next question. Who's more likely to do something romantic just because?
I love that girl. I be thinking about her like literally like all the time, like no joke. I believe this though, and I just believe it to be true. And this can be my own personal conviction, but I believe it to be true. When a man is consumed with the thoughts of his wife, his bride, the one that God has blessed him with, his rib, he uses all of his energy, all of his love, all of his resources, all of his ability, because he's a hunter, to go after her. And I believe that even after you feel like you've caught her, the trick to it is to let her go so you can go after her again. So I enjoy coming after her.
Who called first when you exchanged numbers?
Don't even try it, girl. Don't even try it. That girl, listen. Hold up. You must have forgot how it even went down. Let me tell y'all something. When I set eyes, I ain't gonna lie, when I set eyes on her, I just saw, she was just absolutely beautiful. You were glowing, you were attractive, but it was more than just a physical attraction. When I saw you, it was just something spectacular. There was a glow about you. And so it must have been God, because I was consecrated too. I was praying and fasting, going through the mall with Pastor Rashawn. He was Rashawn at the time. And you were over there. You had your Christmas list. It was around the holiday. You were writing your Christmas list. And I walked by and I was like, whoa, I would love to be on that list. It just slipped out my mouth, y'all. I was trying to be focused, but I kept moving. And Pastor Rashawn said, she waving the paper. You was waving that paper. You wave. No, you wave. I wish I had Pastor Rashawn the cosign right now. You waved that piece of paper like it was a white flag, like you were yielding. You were like, come on back. You were like, come on back, boy. You saw the spice in my life, and you wanted that spice in your life. I understand what's going on, and you can't tell it now. And so I came back because Pastor Rashawn said, hey, that could be your wife. Something hit me. I came back. And I told you all I want for Christmas is for you to give me a call. Gave you my name. And you ready for this? You didn't give me your phone number. I did. You didn't give me no, you didn't. You had the paper. I wrote down my information and then you called. Boy. Girl, come on now. Come on.
If I could get up, I will go get that paper that you have framed in your office.
Come on. I found you. Listen, I found you. The Bible said, man that finds a wife finds a good thing, obtains favor.
And you chased me.
No, I found you, but you came after me. I found you, but you understood that it ain't every day that you come across a man like me. Cheese.
I'm going to let you.
Bam.
Who said, I love you first? Conflict here.
Look, men don't be walking around. Don't be walking around talking about I love you. I like you.
I'm not even
you
cut
cute.
Like that. I'm not even cut like that.
Well, I'm definitely not cut from that cloth.
No, just absolutely not.
Listen, why you telling stories? Huh? You know I ain't said I love you.
I liked you a whole lot. Remember? You was the one calling me like
no.
that.
That's because you were you were different. you were different, and that was the thing
That
that,
made
you know,
you
I was
love-
torn.
that made you
I was
love
torn. I
me.
didn't know if I was attracted to you or if I was crazy for talking to you, because you gave a brother a hard time. Go, you were different from a lot of the women I had met, man. I was used to, you know, things moving, you know, much faster, and you was, you know, you had your foot on the brake, and so you know what? You know, maybe I did lie and say I love you. I ain't know nothing about no love. Maybe I did. I ain't gonna lie. Maybe I did, but I was trying to get at you, and you was playing hard to get. So, you know, sometimes us men, ladies, you need to hear this. Sometimes we be like, I love you. We don't know what no love is. We might lust you. We may like you. We may even have an idea that we want to be with you, but we don't know nothing about no love. So maybe, just maybe, you know, I just said that out of my emotions. Would you agree?
I would agree with this.
Oh boy,
That
here we
you
go.
were crazy. Yes, you were crazy
Oh.
about me. Propelled you and led you to have feelings you hadn't really had before.
That's true.
So during that season, in your vulnerable state,
I yielded, huh?
Call.
And it just came. I love you. And what did you feel like when I said it? What was it weak? Was it soft? How was it when I said
It was amazing. And I was like, but I know.
So you just knew that I loved you.
Right.
How'd you know that I loved you?
It was pretty amazing. It was
Okay.
pretty amazing.
Thank you, Apostle and Pastor, for playing the Sweetest Day game. Back to our panel. Welcome back to the No Sweeter Love Sweetest Day panel. We are so excited to be here with you guys. I'm your host, Shaughnessy.
And I am Justin.
We've been having so much fun up here. We just got finished with our trivia, and now we're going to get into a few more detailed questions just to kind of pick you guys' brains about love, about marriage, about relationships, and just see, you know, what advice you guys have for those at home watching. So, Justin, you want to kick off the first question?
I'll have it. And this question is for the Burnettes. All right? Look back at your single days. What choices would you have made differently to prepare for marriage?
That's good. I don't want to sound too deep and mundane with it, and, you know, routine, but really having a relationship with God, because just knowing what me and LaRoya went through in the years prior to us even getting married, and then what we had to go through even for a few years until we, you know, came to Word in Action, we had no relationship with God. So we were two completely broken people. I know I was completely broken. She was too. We had broken families and everything. So we tried to make a whole out of a mess of two people, and we were completely shattered pieces trying to be whole. And it caused so much struggle, so much just problems and pain. So, you know, just having a relationship with God and getting yourself whole is very key.
That's exactly what my answer was. That was perfect. Thank you.
That's perfect. Okay. All right. Let's go with question number 2. And this question is for the Fords. All right. While you were dating, what was something that you two struggled with the most to overcome?
Me personally, it was so much that I had to overcome emotionally because of my insecurities. Because of my insecurities about her thoughts about me. You know, I had never been in a relationship where I was trying to take it serious. Like, I had been in plenty of them, but I wasn't ever trying to take it serious. So so with her, I was, you know, approaching it different. So, I was all messed up. I was insecure. I mean, even beyond after that, where you don't even know, you know, that you got them insecurities. But, it messed up a lot back then, and it messed up, you know, a lot even after that. Like, yeah, that's it.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, I was just going to say, at the end of the day, like, hearing the question again, I think we both we weren't whole in ourselves. So the challenge was to even know that we should value ourselves and, you know, have standards and expectations. We know that now, right? Thank God for our leaders who tell us that. But back then, it was just, you know, we weren't saved. We were out doing our thing, you know, a city full of 40,000 young people. We're doing what we wanted to do, you know. So it was a lot to overcome.
These first two answers were just all about, it was just freestyling, right? And you know what comes with freestyling is bumping of the head and falling, tripping, and it's just like, what for? When you already have, you know, models, right? Who
Yeah.
are doing it. It's no point in tripping and bumping your head anymore.
Yeah.
So that's great. So
It's very good.
good. So okay, last question. All right, you all ready? This question is for the Wild Gooses. All right. Of course, we all have an idea of what love from another person looks like. Okay. Since being married, though, has that idea changed?
That's a really good question. Yeah, so when you're dating, right, you're in this phase, an infatuation phase. And a lot of us, even before we get married, we have an idea of what is the image of what we want to see in a person. But one thing that when we were in marriage counseling, and I would recommend if you are dating and considering marriage to go to marriage counseling, one thing that Apostle asked me was, with what you see in that person, if that person never changed, not your idea of what you think they are, but you take them as they are right there and they never change, can you deal with how that person is for the rest of their life?
Michelle?
Yes, because I mean, I do remember, like Apostle saying, you know, you always say, "Oh, you in love in the beginning," and da. He's like, "No, you're not." You know, it grows, and you know, and I was just, listening, like, yeah, okay, but that is so true. It is different, and then it's like with each moment, each year, or each thing we go through, the love changes. It grows, and it's like, wow, you handled that. So it's not that naive. Like, even though I was grown, but still like a little girl getting married, looking like, oh, it's gonna be like this and this, but it's different because I'm growing and changing, he's growing and changing. So it's like each year, it's like our love just grows and it just grows. And I'm like, wow, even when we have bless you moments, you know, and it's still at the end of the day, I still am grateful because I'm like, wow, you know, 8 years ago, I didn't even have nobody really to have a bless you moment with. So I still, you know, it just grows. It grows, and you just, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. I love that. I think what you said kind of resonated with me because Apostle gave me that same advice about like taking somebody as they are and who they are when you say I do, and not having that expectation of, you know, this person is going to Cinderella into somebody later. And I think a lot of people do that and don't realize it, the whole bait and switch, you know. They'll try to present themselves or accept somebody as they are, but then later on, you know, they're like, when you going to make more money? Or when you going to, you know, do this? And they have all these hidden agendas. But I think what I love about our leaders and what I love about God is that when you really start to come into God's love, you extend that grace to other people. And then you also are honest. You're more honest and you're more open and you're more truthful because you realize that there's no hidden agendas in love. You know, there's no hidden agendas. And it's about acceptance, and it's about really seeing this person for who they are and knowing that if they do grow, which they will if they are in God, then great. But let me love this person for who they are, or let me just let this person live and be and find their person. So I love that you said that because it definitely brings up that honesty piece and transparency.
You said it, girl. You said it all. You said it all.
Okay. So we have been kind of discussing throughout the month of October. We've been discussing Warring for Your Family, which has been a great series. It's been on All Things New with Apostle. It's been in our Sunday services and even in our Tuesday, Transformation Tuesday. And it's been great. So if you guys haven't had a chance to tune into that yet, make sure that you guys are locking in and liking the page and staying up to date for what's new. But each one of these amazing couples has a testimony of how they had to war for their family and how they have came out on top because of God and because of their leaders. And I'm excited to kind of get into that because I know that the testimonies are inspirational and unmatched, honestly. So I want to start with the Fords. We have a clip, a throwback clip of you all's testimony, and I want to get into that clip. So let's go ahead and roll that clip.
2010, my wife and I have been married approximately 10 years at that time. but we were heading to dissolve the marriage because of some things that had occurred, namely some things that I did. We both were working hard and pursuing our careers, so we were kind of like two ships passing in the night. One thing led to another. I violated our covenant and committed adultery, and that was going to be the end of everything. And thank God we got connected to Apostle Langston and Prophetess Langston here in Detroit to help us in hopes of healing our marriage. And that's what happened. So now we're actually on 20 years almost, and it's been good.
It's been great. We, like my husband said, we were really headed to divorce court. We were two ships passing in the night. Our marriage was over. As he had stated, he committed adultery, so I was heartbroken. There was a lot of healing that I needed to go through. And a friend of ours said, you need to see and come and connect to Apostle Clarence Langston and Prophetess Robin Langston. And we came, and I remember I would sit in the back of the church and just cry and cry and cry. And they were so gracious and compassionate to us. They said, you know what? If you'd like us to counsel with you, we will. And they didn't know us from Adam. And their hearts of compassion and their love for God, they began to counsel us. And what we went through, you would have never told me that we would have been healed as quickly as God healed us. Right. It took like 4 counseling sessions. The first one, we sat with Apostle and Prophetess, and they said, do you want this? And we looked at each other like, we don't really know. It was over. I always say it was 10 times over. And they said, if you want this, we're here for you. And they gave each one of us a scripture. They gave my husband a scripture in regards to committing adultery. They gave me a scripture. They gave me Corinthians, the chapter of love. And they said, focus in on these scriptures, continue to come, and watch what God will do. And here we are. Next week we celebrate 20 years. 20 years, and God had been, I had believed that God would grant us a son, and if God hadn't pointed us to the man and woman of God, our marriage wouldn't have been restored and our son wouldn't be here. And so it's just powerful because I know the place that we were in. I know the hurt that I experienced as a woman dealing with that. But the thing is that we crossed over into everything that God has for us when we connected to the man and woman of God.
Wow. That's an amazing testimony. First of all, thank you guys for being so honest and being so transparent and sharing, because that's not easy. And you guys tell your story, like you tell that story. So thank you. But I did want to ask, and we love it.
I want overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Glory to God.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Justin, I wanted to ask them, what would your advice be to someone who may be in the same situation you are in, who may be having marital problems, who may have faced infidelity, who feel like, okay, throw the whole marriage away? What's your advice to them?
Just to keep seeking help in it and don't give up. I would just advise them not to give up and to know that there is some hope, there. I thought it was over, and look at now. Thank God.
Wow. Tiffany?
I would say absolutely. So putting, like, if someone is in the situation we were in, right? So absolutely you have to pray. I mean, Apostle and Pastor have been teaching this powerful series about warring for the family, and I mean, it was only going to be God. Mm-hmm. It was only going to be God, and I'm so grateful that through prayer, God connected us, as I mentioned in the testimony, to Apostle and Pastor Langston. And so I would say you have to pray, you have to forgive, and forgiveness is not, like, I love my husband, but at the moment I knew I wasn't forgiving him for him. I was doing it to protect myself. And I know that sounds very selfish, but if there's a moment that you can be selfish, forgive. So I would say pray, forgive, and then we were connected to these fantastic models. And like Damon said, it gave us hope. Like we were like, okay, God, we never seen a marriage like theirs
Yeah.
before. So it gave us hope. So I know you said one thing, but, and I
No,
gave
those
a
are all
couple
great.
different, but that's just, and like Damon said, don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Try, you know, the first answer is give up. I mean, I remember I started looking for attorneys, divorce attorneys, but God was saying, you know, hold on for a second. So I would say pray, forgive, connect to apostle and pastor, have hope, and don't give up.
Yeah. And Tiffany, I have a question for you too.
Okay, sure.
So now I hear the women in my head saying, well, how could you take him back after everything? What's your advice to someone who really wants to forgive, but really is finding it hard to even just be in that person's presence? What were some of the steps you had to take, and how did you get back to this amazing place you're in now?
Thank you for that question, Shaughnessy. So to answer the first part of the question, it was, when I share our testimony, it's like I know some people are like, ain't no way. And then I know that others are like hurting, and they're like, wow, you know, if God did it, you know, for her and them, he can do it for me. And then there's just, you know, they're like, you know, but what I would say is that's why I think it's so key to pray, because the word does say that you can leave, right? So, and I would pray and be like, God, I can go. And God would just be like, you know, stand still. And so that's why you have to pray. So I think that with it has to be both people putting in the effort. So it's one thing for me to forgive, but if he's not trying to change, that's a whole nother ball game, right? And if I'm not, you know, if I'm bitter, all I'm gonna do is say, you did this, you did this, you did this, and that's not, God showed me that wasn't gonna be good for me, that wasn't gonna be good for our children. So I would say that, you know, it does take effort on both parts. And once you see the effort on both parts, then you just have to let go and let God do it. And heed to the words of, we had to heed to the words of our leaders, you know, and even to this day, like, we have to, you know, I have to remember, like, he's forgiven. He has to remember I'm different. I have to remember he's different, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you, too, because you, once again, you all are super transparent, but also your faith is very inspiring, because not only did you pray, but you believed. Some people don't even believe in what they pray for, and you believed in God, and you believed in your leaders, and you did it together, and God was able to bless it. And so I just hope that people who are listening can take what you went through and get to where you are, because it really is a blessed testimony. So thank you guys for sharing.
Thank you. Thank God for our leaders. We just keep to say it.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go into a commercial break, and during that break, you're going to hear from our leaders. Stay tuned, and we will be right back for more of the No Sweeter Love, Sweetest Day panel.
So during this commercial break, our leaders are going to take a series of questions that have been anonymously submitted from social media. Let's get into it. What is the recipe for love?
I believe the recipe for love is having a desire to be pleasing to your mate. And what I mean by that is giving her the attention that she needs, the affection that she needs, understanding your mate's love language.
What are your tips to disagreeing in love?
Well, I believe it is so important that when you're in a relationship, especially between a husband and a wife, but I believe this across the board, even with parents and children and parents, is that everyone has a voice, everyone has an opinion, and everybody has a free will. I don't believe that a man should try to control or manipulate his wife. I don't believe a wife should try to control or manipulate her husband. And I don't think the parent should try to control and manipulate their children. If you have a clear-cut relationship and understand that you're not going to always agree, you're not going to always see eye to eye, but you have to come to a place of compromise. And when a husband and wife does that, and they have that kind of relationship in front of their children, then you'll raise your children to be the same way.
Can I jump in there? The only thing that can help that is you having an ear to hear my response.
You have to share.
Men you can't come to your wife and say, baby, is everything good?
Right.
How am I performing? How do you feel about this? And then when she's excited, okay, wow, we have an opportunity to talk. Then you open up your mouth to share and say, well, honey, if you did this, immediately,
oh boy,
the wall goes up.
Oh my, immediately.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't ask me, baby, what makes you happy? And then when she says what makes her happy, not hear what makes her
Right.
happy and get mad because she shared it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's really hard, but I will say that it's all about approach. And it goes back to the respect. It's all about how you handle it. It's about how you say it. It's about the moment you say it in. You don't, like we always say, you don't say things in the heat of a moment. If you're in such a state of disagreement that you know that's going to be volatile,
Right.
or it's going to lead it,
Then you have to know your mate. You have to know your mate.
and read the signs.
Yeah.
And read the signs. You have to know when to walk away, when to back down. And sometimes, like especially earlier on, when I felt like I was right about everything, I had to get to a place.
I didn't hear you. You said what?
I said when I felt like I was right about it. Not that I still don't have those moments, because I do. I just know how now.
And she's a lawyer, so she knows how to battle, and she knows everything
And
about nothing, but everything.
but everything. But I also know to just keep that to myself sometimes. That I know that you don't know. Life is gonna show that I knew.
Eventually, I'll get the revelation.
Exactly.
How do you balance being an independent woman and submissive?
I'm going to say it just hasn't always been easy. I think that the one thing that was important to me, that was key, is that you showed me that you were worthy of my submission. And what I mean when I say that is you showed me that you could be dependable. You showed me that you could be trustworthy. You showed me that you were faithful. You showed me that you were vested in what we had. So when I knew that you were vested and kind of locked in, and I saw your moves, and I saw that what you were doing was for us, that you were building what I've loved since the beginning of our relationship, and even more so since I've even come off my job. There's never been a divide with yours and mine. You have never, in the entirety of our relationship, ever made me feel like I had to come to you and ask for things, that what we were building, what you had built, was not ours.
Right.
So even at times where I'm like, babe, can I have? And you're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Everything I have is yours. That meant a lot. So in that, I'm like, man, he cares about me. He sees me as his equal partner. And in doing so, because when people are controlling, when people control the money, when people control the tempo and the tone, and you feel that they're controlling it, then you don't feel equal.
Right, the house is divided then. Yeah.
And then it makes it harder in those situations and circumstances for the woman to trust that I'm not, instead of you seeing me as an equal who contributes, then they would feel more subservient.
Yeah.
And then when you feel less, in a position of being less than, you kind of start jockeying for power because you feel powerless.
That's good.
Well, I've never felt powerless. I've always felt empowered in my home. And I've always felt considered. And even if the decision that you ultimately have made has not been one that I was necessarily in agreement with at the time, I still trusted that what you were doing was right. So it is. I've trusted you. And as time went on, I've watched you navigate us down paths and get us to where you plan to get us to. So it's not like we were aimlessly wandering around. You always had a vision, and I always knew that the decisions you made were to take us that way. And I'm not going to say that there weren't times where I was right and you were wrong. But even in those moments, I didn't come back like, babe, I told you, we just adjusted.
Yeah.
We made that shift, and I think that it probably made it easier for you to lead with me responding that way, instead of me kind of dictating and trying to take control and being all Jezebelish, like, well, this is the way we need to do things. I know this more than you. And yeah, maybe there were areas that I had more expertise in, but there were also areas that you had more expertise in. And I think that has been a great balance. But it's been mostly because you have considered me.
How important is it to be whole before getting into a relationship?
I think that so many people look for a relationship to complete them.
Yeah.
They look at it as being that missing link in their lives. But if I can give anybody some sound advice and wisdom, it would be to heal before you get in a relationship.
Yes.
To figure out who you are before you get into a relationship. Because what did I used to say? I think people used to say, oh yeah, them plus me, we'll be whole and we'll be great together. No, when you bring two broken pieces together, it diminishes. And actually, if you think about it, one half times one half really equals 1/4. So it becomes smaller.
Right.
It actually takes away from. And if you have one whole times one whole, we become one together. And I think that is what a lot of people miss, and they don't value the season of singleness. The season of singleness is a season to be enjoyed, but I think that the way life is presented right now, we're so focused on what's next.
Yeah.
You don't complete one season of your life before you're in expectation and anticipation of another. So looking forward to something is one thing, but being consumed with it and missing the moment that you're in is something else. I've said before, we had one of our children used to always say we would go somewhere, and before we even started that activity, they would be like, what are we doing when we leave here? And I said, just stop, pause, and enjoy the moment that you're in. And that's how I feel about a solid, healthy relationship. Identify, look at yourself, date yourself, enjoy yourself, figure out what your likes are, figure out what your dislikes are. Reflect on your experiences. How have they shaped you? How have they affected you? How have they hurt you? And how do you need to be healed? What would make you whole? And if you get to the place, when you get to the place that you are completely in love with you and completely satisfied with who you are, it's just kind of amazing how in that moment, when you're so into you, that God will then bring your compliment that he had for you.
And honey, what's so funny about that is by the time that happens, you're really not even interested in being in a relationship because you're whole. Most of the time, people that are desperate for relationships is because they're not a whole person. They're broken somewhere. Somebody dropped them. Maybe their father dropped them, their mother dropped them. And then after that, relationships after that, they left out of their family's home looking for somebody to make them whole, looking for a man, a boy, a girl, a woman, somebody to make me whole, a thing, a title, a degree, education, money, a business. So I got this drive. I'm a hard worker, I'm a hard earner, but I'm broken. And I'm driven by my brokenness because I don't ever want to become what I'm already dealing with in my heart. Another person can never make you whole. It's your relationship with God, that inner healing, that deliverance, that causes a person to become whole. And then you can become everything that you need yourself to be so that you can be a sacrifice for that mate. And then that mate is whole, can be a sacrifice for you. Well, we're going to throw it back to the panel. Man, I've enjoyed this, honey. Thank you. I love you. We can talk about love all day. We can talk about family all day. And we can talk about the plan of God, because the plan of God really works. The Bible says people perish because they don't have vision for their future. Make sure you have a vision. Make sure you have a plan for your future. Come on, honey. Hold my hand. I love you, girl.
I love you too.
We're going to throw it back to the panel. Be blessed.
Welcome back to the No Sweeter Love, Sweetest Day panel. I'm your host, Shaughnessy, along with my husband, Justin, and these amazing couples. We just finished hearing from the Fords. Thank you for sharing that testimony. And we're going to go into a quick clip from the Wild Gooses, so you guys stay tuned for that.
Again, my name is Chris Wild Goose, and this is my beautiful, lovely wife, Michelle Wild Goose. Again, welcome to our home. I grew up in the Bronx, New York, and down in the Bronx, New York, I was used to living in areas where there were apartments. It's not really in the section where I lived in the Bronx, there wasn't really any houses or anything like that, and a lot of the neighborhoods were neighborhoods that were in poverty. So I was used to being around areas where, there were projects or there were low-income housing apartment buildings. And a lot of the mentality that we had back then was really just a full-on survival mentality.
Right, and it's funny how our stories are they parallel but yet different. My background was, I wouldn't say spoiled, but I got everything I wanted and everything that I needed.
I just remember eventually after we got married, there was a season where even though I did tithe, we struggled with the tithe because I hadn't taken care of all the responsibilities that I needed to do naturally and learning how to balance. And I remember, Apostle at the time would just, he would push me. As soon as that tithe started slipping, he was on it. And as soon as I caught up with the tithe, boom, things started moving, new job, new opportunities, new money started happening for us. And at the time, I wanted a house, but I didn't, but Apostle actually pushed me to have a house because I wasn't really thinking of a house because at the time we were in an apartment.
A 1-bedroom apartment. And prior to that, we were struggling when we got married to have a baby. So it took us 3 years. And I mean, I didn't know, like, your leaders pray for you and everything, but I didn't know the extent of the prayers that were for my womb. Like, who does that all night?
Come on.
To pray for you and to know that my prophetess wanted me to experience motherhood.
Come on.
And that was like that struck a chord with me. Like, that's something to be thankful for, to be grateful for, that they would do that. And for 6 months, we went on thinking that nothing would happen, and found that I was pregnant in the 6th month.
Yep.
And I remember Apostle saying, "What do you do when you're carrying your miracle?" So basically, when I met you, you were making like $600 a month at KFC. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, the free food was good, but that don't pay bills. So you're making $600, and now from your promotion, from listening to your man of God, of how he did it from being a servant and everything else, you now are making 6 figures. And not only that, but we do have another baby on the way that did not take 3 years. It happened instantly. So when everything is in order and in line and you're following the steps and order of God, there's no good thing that he'll withhold from you.
Awesome testimony. Thank you guys for sharing. Did you want to add on to your testimony at all? Is there anything that we missed or anything that you want to share? Because this was a while ago. Did you want to add to it?
I think one thing that we could have done, and this would be my advice to younger folks or people that are contemplating marriage, as you seen earlier when we played the game, we got married after 1 year. Now, in marriage counseling, we actually got recommended by our apostle to wait a little bit. But, we were so in love, and I still am. And sometimes you can be so in love and so infatuated with each other that you might not notice certain things that you need to take care of to position yourself properly. And now when I look back in hindsight, now that we got our house, I'm like, babe, the other day I was just talking to her about this. I said, babe, it sure would have been easier if we would have got this house a few years ago. I'm like, man, it sure would have been a little bit easier if we would have had our car together before we got married. So, when he was giving us that advice, I think it's so important that you have someone that can see ahead of you, but not only see ahead of you to just see ahead of you, but also have the wisdom where if you did make that wrong decision, where they can guide you and still lead you, and they still have that example on how to navigate through that time. But, we've learned, we've grown, and it was good, but that would be my advice. My advice would be, if the person is for you, they for you. You don't have to rush, and make sure that you're prepared when you're going in, and things can turn out a little bit easier and more blessed, as our marriage already is blessed.
I have a question for Michelle. A lot of marriages end up in divorce because of infidelity or financial issues. And how were you able to, be graceful in your waiting time for him to kind of catch up to where you wanted him to be with the tithe and things like that? Like, how were you able to push him forward without being overbearing or getting frustrated with it?
Well, I did get
I was
frustrated
about to
at
ask
times.
that. I was like, did you get frustrated? That was
Yeah,
my
I
first question.
did. At certain, but I'm really a mild mannered person. Really, I internalize a lot, and then it'll just all come out. But I did, and I'm also a person that like to study people. So I'm just watching them and seeing everything. I'm like, well, he gives. I'm like, he gives, to apostle. But I'm like, the tithe. He said, I don't want that. Don't give me that. Which I love about him, because he tell us, I'd rather you give, your tithes instead of, but he was on it like, oh, I got to do this. I have to give my seed for, and everything, and trying to juggle it all. So I was looking at his heart mostly, even though I was frustrated. And to the point where it's like, I don't even want to go to church because, like, what is the point? Like, we're not going to get blessed. Yeah. So, I mean, I might as well just sit and do what I want to do. I'm like, we in here sucking up all the air, using all this good, tissue and everything, and we're not even, and hearing Apostle every day, say, well, you're saying death to the vision then, if you, and I'm like, no, we're not. But I was just praying, like like Pastor tell us. And I'm like, well, let me try this thing out and pray for him instead of just going at it, because I was watching him trying to get it and juggle it and do it. And I was thankful that he was getting, hit. You need to do it. You need to do it. And for him to just keep, honoring and sowing like he was, and just sowing his time, his effort. Yeah. And it was just, I just couldn't really get mad because I kept looking at his heart, and I'm like, oh, it's not like he just, we just gonna do this and go eat, and we ain't, it was like, really didn't have it. So I just keep praying, and I just was believing that it was gonna change, and it all just shifted, because we never stopped. Yeah. We never stopped coming, even though it was embarrassing, to us and to me. We never stop. That's the only thing I can say is, like, you never stop coming, never stop pushing, even though, like, you're wrong. And God, it all just happened so quickly. It's like he just turned it. Wow. And was able to just catch up.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
And Chris, I really want to dig just a little deeper. What was that light switch moment for you? Like, what was that moment where you were like, all right, something has to change? What was that pivot for you? Especially for somebody who's watching, who may be struggling the very same way you used to struggle. So what was that, like, light switch moment for you?
I drove for Apostle to the church. I came over, and this one particular day, never forget it, I came in my most busted up car. That thing is rusted. It was bouncing all over the place. And I was 100% sure that I was not going to drive for him this day, because there's no way a man of that stature is going to come in this piece of junk. And man, he came in the car dripping too. I mean, what he had on probably cost more than the whole car itself and to fix the car. And it really shocked me, because, like, wow, he really was looking after my soul. And at that moment, the light switch hit, to know that, hey, I really have a leader, and there really is something that he is trying to get to me about this tithe. And all he was trying to do was encourage me to believe that if I come into my covenant with God and with that tithe, that God was going to take care of me with the 90 more than me keeping that 100%. Mm-hmm. And once I made up in my heart to do it, everything flipped. Everything changed. My finances changed. I was able to get the house. I was able to get a new car. We ended up getting blessed with a new baby. We didn't struggle carrying. We had struggles before, but I really think that me coming into that tithe, into that covenant, and being obedient really shifted to put me in a position where God was able to move for our family, because I no longer was hindering our family. Wow. By letting that curse happen on us by not tithing.
Wow.
Okay, so now we're about to go into our third and final testimony, the Burnettes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
So we came to Word in Action
8 years.
8 years ago, and we were believing God for a child. We didn't want kids at first because we had went through so many things in our marriage. However, once we got connected to Apostle Clarence Langston and Pastor Robin Langston, we had a desire for children, and we had decided we were going to have children, and we had one child on the way, but unfortunately we had a miscarriage. Exactly a year later, we were trying for a child again, and we had another miscarriage. And at that time, we had got discouraged. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know if it was our own health issues. We didn't know if it was, spiritual ramifications, the things that we went through in the past. But we kept hearing the word of God through Apostle Clarence Langston and Pastor Robin. They kept encouraging us to continue to press forward in God, to believe God for what we wanted in our miracle. And 8 years later, we found out in May that we were having a baby. Yeah, that's right. And a crazy thing happened. We had another attack on my wife's body, which the enemy thought that he was going to come in and take this little bundle of joy from us. However, the apostle prayed for us, pastor prayed for us, and God prevailed. His word came to pass. And in January 31st, we were able to celebrate the life and the beginning of life for our little baby Mila.
All right, we are back. What an amazing testimony by the Burnettes. I have a question for you all. What is your advice for couples dealing with infertility?
Wow. You have to, what we learned is you have to be connected to somebody that has power to speak something into your life that sometimes you can't even believe for yourself. When me and Leroy decided that we wanted to have children, we believed God. We were being faithful, to the tithe, to the offering. We were sowing seeds. We were serving around the ministry, but we still didn't see the manifestation that Apostle told us we were going to have children. And we doubted it for so long because we went through multiple miscarriages, but we have a man and woman of God who truly believe that God's word is what it is and is going to come to pass. And he said, and she also said, when they prophesied to us, you will have children. Wow. And over time, our faith actually began to grow. But even in that, we were still going through the problems. We even went to fertility clinics because we thought that, it wasn't going to happen the way God ordained it to happen. And every time we would see apostle and pastor, they would say, I see children. You're going to have your children.
They did this for 7 years.
For 7 years, they said, you're going to have children. And, it was just so funny because one Sunday, pastor came up to us like, it's time for y'all to have children. And out of nowhere, we just decided we're going to go get a pregnancy test. And literally that next Tuesday, after she asked us and told us it's time for you to have children, we found out that we were pregnant with me love. Yeah. So you have to be connected to somebody who has power.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Because I think it's so powerful how you all were getting these words, you were getting these prophecies, but you were still going through those hurdles, right? Yes. What was that mindset like, and how did you push through? Even though you were getting these great words, but the enemy was still trying to show its head.
You want to take that?
For me, it was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster, but what grounded me was their faith in the prophecy that they saw children and that they already knew we would have it. That grounded me. So every time that I would have, what you want to call it, feeling a little bit depressed at the moment, being faithless, to be honest, I would remember that. I would play that over and over. So that's why he tells us, it's good to hear your prophecies, you know what I'm saying, and listen to it over and over again, especially when you're in that season of waiting for it to come to pass. And for me, that was key, listening to it over and over. And then as soon as I hear his voice again, it's almost like that feeling that I had before left immediately. And I got back excited. So, and the thing is, for me, I was mad at myself because I was like, why do I go through these moments of feeling depressed? Like I felt I was being hard on myself. Like, why? I shouldn't feel this. I should just be this marathon runner the whole way through. And I was being hard on myself. And every time I heard him say that, I was just like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start doing that. And over the years, that's what helped me to stay grounded in that prophecy and believe that it will come to pass, and it did.
Yes. You all are, shout out to you all, because you all are doing the parenting thing again.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? How's life been? Like, how's everything going, you know? Is it, anything else?
Life is amazing. It's just so, it's so much, because literally when I say Apostle spoke things into our life that we just couldn't believe, he spoke a new house. He spoke a new car. He spoke a new baby. And literally everything came to pass exactly how he said it. And, you know, even recently, you know, Apostle, he made his way over to our house with Pastor, and, you know, they blessed the house.
Your new house, right?
Yeah, our new house.
Your new house.
Our brand new house in the suburbs, just like he said it was going to be. And, you know, when I say that when he says something, it's going to come to pass. When he blessed our home, you know, it was just an honor to even have them come bless the home. And, you know, he says, I want to talk about the seed for just a second. He says you have to connect sometimes to what he says by a seed.
Yeah.
When he blessed my home, I didn't just let him leave. I sowed a seed because I wanted him and her to know that, Apostle, Pastor, I believe your words.
Wait, can you explain what a seed is, just for people who aren't familiar?
Yes, a seed is when, you know, it's outside of your tithe and offering. A seed is when the word is ministered and you believe that that word is going to take place in your life. If you're believing for something, for us, we were believing for a child at a time, and we were sowing seeds. We were putting our seed and faith behind his word by giving our tangible money into what we believe for ourselves. And, you know, like I said, before he left, I sowed a seed into him, and, you know, he said before he left, this house is beautiful, it's wonderful, but it's too quiet. I know y'all got little me love, but it's too quiet. I decree and declare another baby in the womb. And it did not fall to the ground, because now my wife is pregnant with our second child to come. And
Hold on. Go, because I feel like you breezed over that too fast. You said what? You said before he left. What did Apostle say?
Before he left the home, he said, I decree and declare life into your wife's womb. You will have another child very soon. And we found out.
You didn't know.
I didn't know. No. We did not know that she was pregnant. We didn't. We did not have no idea. She had went to the. She actually took a pregnancy test, and a couple weeks, like a month or two before that, and it said she wasn't pregnant. Yep. And literally 8 weeks after he said that, we found out she was pregnant. We don't know exactly how far along she is yet, but she went to the emergency room, and, you know, the doctors confirmed we have another bundle of joy that they spoke into our lives on the way. So, I mean, I'm just so elated and grateful that we have leaders who hear from God, and they will speak into your life for your family. Like, you know, when they say they war for their family, they war for our family. We are all the family, and I know they went to war for us, and I'm just so grateful, because everything that they have prophesied to us, everybody that's on this panel, and so many more, it comes to pass.
Yeah. Wow. My goodness. I just quickly want to really say, especially for the woman, but the couple who is struggling with the infertility, because I know for us, it was really, you can do this by yourself, but it is nothing like having spiritual parents, godly spiritual parents that have a relationship with God, who have the power that they have. And like you said, it was already signs, wonders, and miracles happening here before us. So it gave us that extra bit of oomph to the prophecy that he said, and we constantly was leaning on them. If you can just imagine it, I mean, we're just like, sometimes it was just like, if they wasn't there, we would fall. We would have just gave up and said, you know what, this is what it is. And, I mean, we could have looked into other options, adoption, or just said, forget it. We'll never have a natural one. But that is so important in having somebody in your corner like that who will war for you, who will tear up the foundation, your block, blow up your block. And we're not talking about naturally, even though they will do it naturally, but we're talking about spiritually, who will go to war for you in prayer and be fervent in it. And you cannot pay for that. You don't have enough money to pay for that. It's so important. It's been important in each one of our marriages, but it's also been important in each one of our lives individually.
Yeah.
And just the family unit that's here, if you don't connect, what you need, but just in this, what we talking about, fertility and a child, man, it means the world. It means the world, and it's just the most important thing in our lives. And we're just so thankful for our pastor and our apostle. Thank you, God.
Woo. Man, I'm just like drunk in love because it's just crazy to me because what is impossible? Nothing is impossible for those who believe in God and those who believe in the prophet and the prophetess that God has sent you. And just seeing like, okay, what all these situations are literally like dead. And they're just so alive now just because of faith, of connection, of obedience, of honor. And it's just so many people who are hurting and are trapped in different places, and there's so much liberty and freedom like available for you. And I just want you guys to really let this sit in and sink in with you, because there's really nothing that is impossible with God. There's nothing that's impossible, when you connect to true people who believe and hear from God. And these are literally testimonies, real lives. Real lives. They were at Michigan State on a swing set. Look at them now. Look at them now. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all were in 9th grade, didn't even know you were for each other. You brought all that brokenness here, and now you're on your second baby. And you couldn't have a baby for 7 years. Wow. For 7 years. And you all were struggling with your tithe and finances, and now you guys are liberated from that, and now your son and your sons and your children won't struggle with that because now you have that succession for them. And it's just a beautiful thing, and it's real, and it's true, and it's genuine. And there's like, we literally are just one in, so many testimonies and so many stories. And just I want to speak to like millennials and under. A lot of people say, like, what's the cheat code, or what's the the formula for where you are or how you got there? And then you tell them, well, it's prayer. It's following the man and woman of God. And they're like, scratching their head and still trying to figure it out. It's the truth. Like, you can't, it's black and white. It's black and white. It's the truth. You could try to add to it. You could try to take away from it. But at the end of the day, the common denominator here is God and leaders. God and leaders, that's the common denominator. And so, you can ask anyone on this panel any relationship question, but it's all going to go right back to those answers. And so I'm just excited. I'm happy. I mean, Word in Action is so fruitful, and our leaders have so much good fruit. And if you are not a church person, the fruit really just means results. It really just means putting the money where their mouth is. Like, you see that they are successful, and the people around them continue to get that success if they tap in. So I can keep talking about this because it excites me, and it's true. And none of us, I didn't know them, they didn't know me. We all came from different families, different places, different backgrounds, but we all came to this one place. And I just want to invite you to this place. I want to invite you to these leaders. I want you to come and taste and see of all of this goodness. Like, it's here for you. If you're single, if you're married, if you're dating, if you just don't know and you're tired of everything, like, this is the space and the place for you. But tonight has been amazing, babe. What do you want to say? I'm talking a lot.
You look amazing. That's what I'm hearing. I mean, you talking good. But it's just all so good, baby. And I just want to thank everybody here. Thank our leaders, right? Apostle Clarence Langston, Pastor Robin Langston. You are our cheat codes. You are our models. You are, man, God just put it all in you for us to just walk this easy life we're walking now. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
This has been an amazing show.
Yeah. If you love the show, can you please leave a comment in the comment section and share this one more time?
Yes. Okay? You heard her, all right? She's the boss, okay? All right. But did you all have a good time? Like, was that good?
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah.
This was good.
Yeah.
Good.
Awesome. Well, we hope you all had a great time, too. Stay tuned. We're always online every day, all things new with Apostle Clarence Langston every morning at 7 a.m. And catch us on Tuesday nights Bible studies and Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern for our Sunday morning worship, okay? In the meantime, you all stay blessed. We love you. Peace.
If you're looking for an online church home, Apostle Clarence Langston and Pastor Robin Langston would love to have you join the Word in Action Christian Center family. Text member to 313-228-3830.
Get ready to cross over. Clarence Langston Ministries presents The Crossover with Apostle Clarence Langston and Pastor Robin Langston. Join us Monday through Friday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Impact Network.
Are you ready to have your faith unleashed? Apostle Clarence Langston teaches the true meaning of faith. Equips you with the necessary tools that will activate your faith and imparts God's never-ending love in his new book, Faith Unleashed. Order it now. Go to ClarenceLangston.com and purchase your copy of Faith Unleashed today. You can have an unstoppable life when your faith is unleashed. Order now.